Okay, so we are rolling. Excellent. All right, so welcome back to Suspicious Minds. As always, I am Burl.
And I'm Wade.
And we're talking firsts today. We're talking a big first for Elvis.
Yes. Doesn't get any more firster than this. The first Elvis album, self-titled, released in 1956.
Yep, the very iconic album cover with the Elvis down one side and Presley on the bottom there, copied by a few different people. I think, was it The Clash?
Yeah, definitely did the whole kind of pink and green lettering.
Yeah.
Bordering one half of the album thing. It's a cool look. I mean, it was a cool look in 56. It was a cool look when The Clash ripped it off. I invite kids of today to rip it off. Whatever. It's always going to work.
Yeah, I think maybe we should rip it off for the show. Maybe we'll come up with a new logo.
Sure.
Like Suspicious and Minds.
Yeah, a black and white photo of us, kind of like where you could see all the way back at our tonsils.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, just us and then Wade down one side and then Burl. Like you could be the pink, I'll be the green.
Why do I have to be the pink?
I don't know. Because you get first billing, so obviously you want to be pink.
Yeah,
so,
I guess.
Yeah,
but we've always talked about changing it to Burl and Wade.
I don't think we've ever discussed that. I think we said we'd see how it went the first season, and if nobody complained about it, we'd just keep it the way it was. I thought that's what we had kind of said.
Maybe in different markets we can swap it, so it's like a Hardee's Carl's Jr. type of situation.
Oh, I see. So maybe in South America.
Right. Or like in Oklahoma, it's Burl and Wade.
Sure. It sounds like a place you'd go get your tires rotated. Burl and Wade. I think Wade and Burl sounds like a podcast you listen to, but Burl and Wade definitely sounds like somebody you'd buy like knockoff Rolex watches from.
Yeah, either that or they're like small town soda bottlers from 1910, like Burl and Wade's Bottling Company.
Burl and Wade's Magic Elixir.
Sure.
I'd buy that. Actually, we should start that.
Maybe
that'll be a side project.
We could do 10 more minutes of this shit. But let's get into the record.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we could continue to talk about that, yes. But we should. We should talk about Elvis's first album, released in 1956. Is March of 1956, correct?
March 23rd of 1956.
Okay, well, you can get it down to the exact day if you want. But yeah, I guess it's good to know.
It was a self-titled LP in the States, released simultaneously in the UK under the title Elvis Presley, A Rock and Roll. A little on the nose, but it is what it is.
I mean, it is rock and roll, but there's some country in there. There's some ballads, there's some R&B. So it's not strictly rock and roll, I don't know. Rock and roll is still kind of a nascent thing, though. Kind of nebulous. Like they didn't really figure out what rock and roll was for another year or two anyway. So I guess it fits under rock and roll.
Yeah, more or less. This was definitely seen as a risky signing by RCA, Elvis Presley, outlaying, which even at the time sounds like not that much money. What was it, like 30,000, 40,000?
40, yeah, it was 40 grand they paid for him.
40 grand to get Elvis away from Sun, which Sam Phillips was happy to get, didn't feel like he was ripped off at all. But yeah, that just goes to show you, like, I don't know. I don't think RCA had much faith in this rock and roll fad. And you can kind of tell with the production of the album, I think, because it very much sounds like just a few musicians in a studio playing live. And the RCA professionally recorded stuff doesn't sound that different from the Sun Studios stuff on this album.
I totally agree. There's not a huge difference in sound to me.
And this material represents almost 2 full years of like recording. Some of the stuff dates back pretty far in the 1954, but still it's a cohesive sounding album.
I absolutely agree. And it doesn't even throw me that like, what about half of the tracks don't feature DJ Fontana.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no percussion on it. But right. I don't think you really miss it. I don't think you're like, oh, well, where are the drums at on this? It just seems fine that it is what it is. So,
well, I just want to stay off the bat that longtime Elvis fan, I'd never actually listened to this album before we decided to do it for the show.
You know what was something stranger? I own this album, and I don't think I'd ever listen to the entire thing. Like, well, in one sitting. I've probably listened to a side of it here and then a side of it there. But I don't think I ever sat down like, oh, let me flip that and listen to the other side. And it's 28 minutes long, so it's not like I was a huge time investment. I just couldn't be bothered to do it. I'm not sure why. But I think we both discussed this. As much as I am an Elvis fan, I'm not electrified always by the 1950s recordings and like the Sun recordings. I've got no qualms with them. I'm not against them. But I like the late 60s, early 70s stuff of his. Right. More than the 50s. And I don't think that's a bad thing. It's just my personal opinion. But if you're into the 50s stuff, I'm sure there's somebody screaming out, and it's like, what are you talking about? This is so much better than the 60s and 70s. Agree to disagree.
I would definitely say this album builds a strong case for the early stuff. It just definitely feels like a cohesive statement. It was famous as the first rock and roll record to go to #1 on the Billboard charts. And it stayed up there for a couple of months in the summer of 56.
Yeah, it was the first million-selling album of the genre.
Yes.
Say, yeah.
Yes, a smash by any metric. And there is an admirable amount of, like, raw-sounding material. I mean, really, in 1956, if you didn't live in, like, a big city and get exposed to, like, a lot of this kind of music, imagine like small town America hearing this stuff in 56, just right out of the gate, blue suede shoes. It must have sounded like Megadeth or something.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm sure adults at the time must have thought, what is this? We don't get it. It is this crazy jazz man scat talk kind of stuff.
Right.
But obviously it would have sounded like it was otherworldly in a way and just confusing and like a big ruckus.
It is a raw, rollicking album when it revs up. There's a few songs on this album, to me, just kind of like wallpaper. I don't know, just don't like make much of an impression. But when Elvis's like original band, and it's the band that he toured with, in his early career, you got Scotty Moore on lead, Bill Black on bass, DJ Fontana on drums, and that's pretty much it. Elvis on acoustic.
Right. And then the great Chet Atkins says playing a couple things.
Yeah, though on both of the songs he plays on, he's playing acoustic and he's just kind of strumming, which seems like a really
it's a real waste of a talent there.
Yeah,
and then Floyd Kramer's on a few of them, and he's he's the Heartbreak Hotel guy, like you would recognize him. He also plays on that.
Sure, and kind of a superstar in his own right.
Absolutely.
At the early stages of his career, I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Scotty Moore is like all over this album and killing it, man.
He's such a great guitar player. He's got really good chops. Same with everybody in it. I think DJ Fontana is a very competent drummer. He's just doing exactly what he's got to do. He's simple when he needs to be simple, and it's just real raw.
Bill Black, man. All over that bass, like that, stand-up bass, rockabilly style, which, is kind of its own thing, but plays very percussively. He's almost like a second percussion instrument happening in the band, in addition to playing bass lines. Just real great sounding band. Of course, all the bands had to be back then, all these like country guys, they're all just like superb musicians first,
I think just at that time, it was just really common to just be very good at your instrument. I mean, there weren't the other distractions of other things. You couldn't rely on pedals and all this other stuff to like make you sound better. It's like you had to know what you were doing.
Yeah, absolutely. Though, I will say about Scotty Moore, it's too bad that like Elvis kind of dissolved, the band by the time he started making movies. But tell you what, man, Scotty Moore is no James Burton.
No, that's true. Yeah, James Burton had that I think it was early 60s, he had that Lost Love song. You ever heard that?
I haven't.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's like him on this television show. You can watch it, and he's like up on this, like, I want to say a staircase or something, like playing this song. It's pretty intense. It's a pretty intense tune. But check it out if you haven't. Lost Love by James Burton. But he's also very good, and, they're just different styles of guitar players. But James Burton probably has a few more chops than Scotty Moore. And could probably read music and stuff. I don't know if Scotty Moore could.
Well, yeah. James Burton had all the chops.
But ultimately, Elvis's sound had kind of changed by then, so I think keeping Scotty on, he needed to move in a different direction with his sound. He'd like the music he was doing. So, I understand why they parted ways. But to get back to it, this album, for sure, like you said, he's all over it. It's a pretty sparse sound in a way, but it's got some power behind it. So for you, like, what would be your, like, top 3 on this?
Well, I'm not going to rank them. I'm just going to name 3 songs. You got to go with Blue Suede Shoes, like right out of the gate. What an opener. It just kind of blasts out of the speakers. And yeah, just rollicking rockabilly, just from about the best to ever do it. Just, yeah, fantastic. And, we'll talk more about Carl Perkins later. And then also big fan of the end of side 1, Just Because. In the same kind of vein as Blue Suede Shoes, they're kind of like this up-tempo rockabilly beat. Just a real ripper. Recorded in September 54. So like a year and a half before the rest of this album was recorded. And third, best song, gotta go Blue Moon, man. I don't really care for the ballads that much in this album. I think this album is at its best when it's full throttle, early rock and roll. But man, his version of Blue Moon with the kind of weird vibrato falsetto he does for like half of it. And it's another technique from his like bag of tricks that he just like doesn't pull out very often. And when I was listening to it, I was thinking like, where else have I heard him do this? Of course, that famous footage that's usually credited online as like Elvis's last performance. He's like playing piano. He's playing, Unchained Melody. And he kind of goes up to like this weird falsetto at the end. That's the only other time I've heard him do that. But, that was just like in his bag of tricks that he could pull out. And also, I looked this up because he does that kind of high-pitched wailing at the end. He omits like the entire like second half of the song lyrics, which I kind of interpreted it as, they didn't have like internet access back then. It's just like, yeah, I just don't know what these lyrics are. So we have no way of finding out right now. So what do? We'll just do this. But man, that kind of clippy cloppy rhythm and just that eerie vocal and just a strummed guitar. Like they do so much with so little. I don't know. Maybe in my top 5 favorite Elvis songs.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's my bit. What's your 3?
Well, I'm very close with you. That's really weird. I have one difference, though, so I picked Blue Suede Shoes because you kind of have to. Like, as much as it's almost a little hokey to say that, but on this album, and like I said, if you put yourself in a time machine, you go back to 1956, that song, it just rips. It's just really good. One of them that I like is Trying to Get to You.
Okay.
I like that song quite a bit, and I think the reason I like it is because I really like it in the 68 special. So much his version of it there. And it's this thing that he's singing it different here because he's so much younger. Mm-hmm. But it's this thing where you kind of see like where he went. Like, this is where he started, this is where he's at in 68. So maybe that's why I like it. But it still has a lot of power to it. Although he does some kind of like hiccupy kind of vocalization on it, whatever he's doing with his voice in a couple places I don't love. But yeah, I don't know. I like the song too, I guess. I dig that tune. And then I also put down Blue Moon, which is weird. And I agree. There's something about it that's like eerie. It's like got that Santo and Johnny feel. It's got this other kind of thing that I Only Have Eyes for You kind of thing. Those weird, like those sorts of tunes, they're very haunting, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Well, just like those old school condenser mics run through like that primitive like tape echo.
Right.
And just ghostly.
Yep.
I wasn't even thinking of the Flamingos, and I don't know if it's come up on this show yet, if anyone gives a shit. Humongous fan of the Flamingos, and really the whole doo-wop era, but mainly when it's got this vibe, that kind of like ghostly, I don't know, like sometimes the vocals almost sound like theremins. It raises the fur, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's just really great. It's just such a fantastic song. And yeah, his version of it's like I said, it's just haunting in a way, and just kind of sticks with you. And I'm glad it's not the last one. Although imagine if they'd put that as the last song. And that's what they'll have you with. But I think since it's a rock album, you got to end on some rock. So
of course, absolutely. And I do think, this is like very early in the LP era, because it's like so many of these artists were like singles artists, and then their albums would just be like a collection of previously released singles. But all these were like new songs, like had not been released as singles yet. And I'll be damned if this album didn't also invent the concept of like filler. It's like, well, they can't all be rippers.
Yeah, there's a lot of B-side feeling songs here. And it is weird because you can tell they're not even really sure what rock and roll music is yet.
Sure.
Right? Because it's really got this like musical melange to it, right? Where it's just like, we're just putting this all together. And the other thing is that like the longest song on this is 2 minutes and 43 seconds.
I love it.
Yeah, it's great because like you said, I know you were saying like the filler, but even when it's filler, it's like 2 minutes long, 2 minutes and 11 seconds or something, or 2 minutes 25. They're so quick. His version of Tutti Frutti isn't even 2 minutes.
It's great. We got to talk about Tutti Frutti. I know you have a lot of thoughts. I'll start out by saying that Elvis acquits himself very well. Singing Tutti Frutti. I mean, he is nothing if not a gifted vocalist. However, I think Tutti Frutti has no value as a song unless sung by Little Richard.
I agree. Tutti Frutti is just so Little Richard.
You're right.
And Elvis said he isn't even my second favorite person to perform the song.
I know where you're going with this.
You got to go Nick Rivers. I like his version of it better than Elvis's.
I do too. And we are exactly guys of the age to have that be like a common opinion. Like the first thing I think of when I think of Tutti Frutti, I think of Val Kilmer.
Val Kilmer, Top Secret, singing Tutti Frutti. Yep, that's great. But that's just my take on it. And I'm still going to stand by it, though. I like it better than this version. But then you had this version to go off of.
But I mean, it rocks out. But just the absolute nuclear intensity of like Little Richard, man, Elvis couldn't hope to match that. And I think like that's where the song works best. Like somebody who's like singing it who sounds like they're out of their fucking mind.
And that's the thing with Little Richard. As much as like Blue Suede Shoes comes at you so hard, it does not compare to Little Richard. Like basically anything he did on the specialty label, something like Going Back to Birmingham or like Heebie Jeebies, any of that stuff. Like I have an immense love for all that stuff. It's almost like they can't spin the tape fast enough to capture him or something. He is just like chomping at it. Like he is so powerful. Anyway, but this is an Elvis podcast, so I don't want to opine Little Richard too much.
Well, if I can make a comparison, if this album to people sounded like the Metallica Black Album, Little Richard had to sound like Rain and Blood era Slayer. Total intensity. I mean, that stuff still gets me hyped up, man. Old Little Richard records.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you need to like clean out a garage over the weekend, maybe put that on. It's going to get you moving in a hurry. It's like taking amphetamines. It's like being hopped up on goofballs.
Yeah. Go to the liquor store, get some mini thins.
Yep. Done and done. How do you think I stay up late enough to record this?
Jesus Christ. You know that life.
I've lived that life. I've been there.
But still, yeah, I like Elvis's Tutti Frutti just fine.
It's a fine version. I think there's, 4 ballads on this? 4 or 5 ballads?
About 3 too many.
Yeah, I think you just need a Blue Moon and maybe, like, 1 per side, maybe. I think would have been fine. But what's weird is Elvis did a lot of ballads, even later on.
Of course he did, yeah.
So I think he liked doing them. So maybe that's why there are so many on there.
None of them had the gravitas until the 70s. When you've loved and you've lost, like Elvis,
Right.
You know what life's about.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. One of the other highlights on this that I think we would be remiss if we didn't mention it is I Got a Woman, the Ray Charles cover that he does. Sure. I know that he was playing it live for a while, so I think he was a big fan of the song. And His version of it is great. It's very different than the way Ray Charles does it. He kind of rocks it, whereas, it's very R&B for Ray Charles, but it's definitely a standout on this album. I would almost take it over Trying to Get to You, but I just, like I said, I got a thing with it. But that would have been in my top 3 otherwise.
Sure, just escaped my top list. Yeah, it's great. And no piano. Elvis makes it his own, adapting this song to, what works for Elvis and his team.
Something else to bring up about this album, a lot of the songs that were done right after he turned 21. So most of them, he's like 1920, and then like half of these is right as he turned 21. So still really early in his career, still really young dude, kind of figuring out how to do some of these things. And I think he's pretty much got a handle on it at this point. Like, he's really got his sound. As much as some of these songs are kind of everywhere, but they all sound like Elvis.
You take one of my favorites on the album just because last song of side 1, is this, rock and rave up, but just like the way he sings it, like the hiccups and the kind of yelps. And he's just got like the vocal vocabulary down, like everything from his bag of tricks he's going to be pulling from his whole career. And that's one of the Sun Studios songs. So yeah, he was 20 when he recorded that, or 19?
Yeah, 19. It was 54.
19,
yeah, it was 54 did it.
Just kind of like emerging so fully formed, from, the get-go.
Well, I heard he had the hiccups a lot as a kid, so that's how.
Oh, well, you see, get a glass of water and a straw.
Okay.
And then you plug your nose.
Okay.
And then with your thumbs, plug your ears. And then you drink from the straw until you can't drink anymore. Hiccups will be gone.
Is that the Suspicious Minds podcast official way to get rid of hiccups? Is that...
Yes, and let this be our legacy.
Okay. So you heard it here. I had also heard there was somebody, they would light a match and throw it into a drink, and then you would try and drink it without then swallowing the match. And then I've also heard a piece of lime with bitters on it, and you suck on that. I don't know if any of that is stuff that works. I just try not to get the hiccups. I've tried not to have the hiccups for... Yeah,
just avoid it in general.
Yeah, if you do get them, you can always record it. It's a song. Just sing Just Because.
Sure.
Yeah.
God damn it. Anyway, to sum up this record, if, we're done highlighting tracks, what would you give this album using the dumb Memphis Mafia scale that we do?
I'd probably be somewhere between like a Diamond Joe and a Sonny, whatever that is. I can't think of a Memphis Mafia person that would be in between those two. So it's like halfway between those two, though. So it's not a Red West.
Sure.
And it's
not a Red West. Okay.
Yeah, but Red West is like out of the ballpark, like just knocked it out of the ballpark. It's Sonny's right below that for me, and I think Diamond Joe's just right below there. I think that's kind of how I would sum it up. So it's like right in between the two, almost a solid Sonny, but just off the mark a little bit. And I say that because it is a few too many ballads, and as much as he is fully formed, it's a little short, which I kind of almost like, but it's like buying a hot dog from Colonel Parker. Like, you just feel like something's missing because like there should be more of the hot dog in there. It's 12 songs, but it's like a very tiny 12 songs. So I don't know. Maybe that's not the best way to put it. How about you? What would you rank it?
I like this album a lot. I had never listened to it before. A lot of this is new to me, but it's a great album I will revisit in the future. I'm going to go a little bit crazy here with my rating. I'll give this a Sonny West with half a Dave Hebler.
That is a solid rating.
The
Absolutely.
Karate side of Dave Hebler.
That is an even better rating than what I just thought you gave it. So, wow. That's pretty good. That's up there. Yeah, this is almost solid gold hits number 5 territory. I have nothing against this album, and I agree. I think it's something that I will go back and listen to again. Maybe not tomorrow, because I just listened to it like 3 times today. So I want something with horns in it. But I'll definitely go back and check it out again. Well, I think that kind of wraps up our review of Elvis's first album, which means we get to move on to our segments here in just a moment. But before we do, Wade, we've got a new sponsor for this week.
Oh, do we?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm going to tell you all about it in just a second here. Have you ever suffered bumps and bruises in the boudoir? Try Diddle & Johnson's Marital First Aid Kit. Each package is filled with what you need to get back into intimacy. Anti-chafing creams and cooling creams? Check. Lace bandages and an assortment of colors to match your lingerie set? You bet. And for the gents, every bandage is labeled extra large. Customize your kit with button or zipper closure, or try the new Hook and Eye Bra Clasp. We can give you 68 good reasons to buy so you don't have to 86 romance. Remember to play it safe when you're playing doctor. Buy Diddle & Johnson's Marital First Aid Kit. I think I'm going to buy one.
Yeah, sign me up. Do they have a subscription service?
I think they do. It's the official first aid kit of Sybaris Hotels. So keep that in mind. If you're going there, it's right next to the Bible. Now we've talked about the sponsor, I think it's time for a little bit of the Wayback Machine.
Way back. The Wayback Machine tonight takes a look at March 23rd, 1956, the release of Elvis Presley, the album. First, it's very important to note that the Billboard 200 charts debuted the very next day. After March 23rd, on March 24th, it had not existed before. The Billboard 200 was created. And so in that case, Elvis's first album was very nearly the first number one record on the Billboard 200. But actually, that spot belonged to Harry Belafonte's Belafonte, was the number one album of March 23rd. And Elvis's album took the number one spot on May 5th through July 7th. It was the number one album for a little over 2 months. And then after that, it was replaced by Harry Belafonte's Calypso, which actually ended up being the top-selling record of 1956. Wow. To which I have to ask any of our listeners who were alive back then, what was going on with Calypso back then?
It was really popular. Robert Mitchum put out a Calypso album.
Yeah, who didn't?
I don't know.
It's just total madness. I don't understand. But also, part of the Wayback Machine, we're going to roll back one day to March 22nd, 1956, which is a bit of unlucky news. It was the date of Carl Perkins's car crash, kind of a famous incident. Carl Perkins, of course, the author of Blue Suede Shoes, and riding high on the success. At the time, Carl Perkins had released his recording of Blue Suede Shoes in January of 1956, where it was an immediate smash hit. It's Sun Studios' best-selling single in the entire history of their record label. Wow. You know, even bigger than any other Elvis singles. It went to number one on the country charts and number two on the pop charts. You know, it's like a true crossover sensation. So Carl Perkins was riding high with the success of this song. And on March 22nd, he was en route to a gold record ceremony with Sam Phillips that was going to be performed on the Perry Como show in New York City. And then, of course, a live performance. But early in the morning, his car hit the back of a pickup truck, instantly killing the driver, Thomas Phillips. He was a 40-year-old farmer, no relation to Sam Phillips, of course. Also in the car was his drummer, Fluke Holland, who was relatively unharmed, though Carl suffered severe neck injuries, a really bad concussion, a broken collarbone, and lacerations all over his body. So got it pretty bad. But his brother and bandmate Jay actually got it much worse with a broken neck and severe internal injuries, which he hung on for a couple years but died in 1958.
Wow.
So a lot of people say, oh, what might have been, Carl Perkins making this Perry Como show performance when the single was riding high. It's like, oh, well, he could have overtaken Elvis, which as much as I love Carl Perkins and respect him, I just didn't think was in the cards for him.
Yeah, I agree.
One could say he had a real face for radio.
Mm-hmm. Yep,
or,
one could say that.
Yeah, or podcasting.
Yeah.
But a genuine talent. His recording of Blue Suede Shoes is a little slower, but a little angrier. You know what I mean? It's not an inferior version at all to the Elvis recording, which is much faster and comes across as more kind of like teenage petulant. You know, Carl Perkins sounds like a grown-ass man singing Blue Suede Shoes.
Well, I think he sounds like a guy who doesn't have enough money to replace his blue suede shoes. I think we all knew by that point, Elvis, he's probably got like 6 pairs of blue suede shoes, so he's not really all that worried, just doesn't want you to do it. Mm-hmm. Like Carl Perkins would be out a pair of blue suede shoes if you stepped on them.
Sure. And let me just say this. The lyrics to Blue Suede Shoes have often been kind of cast in this kind of like, I don't know, idiosyncratic, like, oh, just crazy teenagers doing their things. But isn't it not perfectly reasonable to ask somebody not to step on your suede shoes?
I think it's totally normal. Why are you stepping on other people's shoes to begin with?
Right. Like, I think the idea, it's like a couple dancing, and it's like, you clumsy oaf, stay off of them.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's just from the dancing.
But yeah, I echo the sentiment, stay off of them shoes. But one more thing about Carl Perkins and his car crash, which he did, they say, made a full recovery, and he was back on the concert stage within a month. But I don't think Carl Perkins ever physically completely recovered from the car crash.
Yeah, probably not.
He was kind of a weird looking dude before and became like an even weirder looking dude afterwards. But anyway, interesting to note that not even a year before this car crash, almost the same group of guys in a car within a few miles of the crash site totaled a car the previous summer to the point where it caught on fire and like burned out, and somebody had to be pulled from the wreckage.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's kind of eerie.
And no one sustained any serious injuries from that car wreck. But it's like, what was going on with all that?
I think they're just all just goofing around. You think they're just like doing burnouts? I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
They're just shooting off revolvers like into the sky while driving.
I think they're all pretty heavy drinkers. So
yeah,
that
probably
to do with it. But what do you think about the Carl Perkins?
I've got no qualms with Carl Perkins. And, you know, here's the thing. He wrote Blue Suede Shoes, which it's just obviously a very identifiable early rock and roll song. Mm-hmm. And maybe one of the great early rock and roll songs.
Yes, very much so. It's like you hear like the bare bones of rock and roll kind of like coming together. It's pretty fantastic. Though I should also point out here that I've seen a couple of conflicting reports about this. One where Elvis, out of respect to Carl Perkins, kept Blue Suede Shoes from his album being released as a single when the album came out, so as not to take any sales away from Carl Perkins, who was selling like, you know, tons of copies of this song. So I don't know if that actually came from Elvis. I actually kind of doubt it, since he was, you know, like 20, 21 years old. Like, how much clout would he have had to like say what comes out when? But it should be noted that Blue Suede Shoes did not get a release as a single until August 31st of 1956, so almost 6 months later. Not only that, in what is considered an unprecedented move, 6 songs from this album were released as singles on the same day, August 31st, 1956. Blue Suede Shoes, I Got a Woman, I'll Never Let You Go, I Love You Because, Just Because, and Money Honey, all released as singles on the same day. And nobody really knows like what the thinking was behind that.
Yeah, I don't know. I saw that happened. I've got that Elvis Day by Day. Usually they put in like, oh, the Colonel talked to so-and-so and they wanted to do blank. Mm-hmm. There was nothing. It just kind of mentions that they did it. It's like, wow, that's crazy. Right. It seems like you're just fighting for, none of them are going to, I don't know. It doesn't make any sense.
Well, right. And as a result, none of these songs were number one hits because I think they're all competing with each other.
Right.
Very weird.
Very strange.
In movies, March 23rd, 1956 was the release date of Forbidden Planet.
Ooh. Wow.
Yeah, that kind of classic sci-fi. It's called a loose adaptation of The Tempest. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah.
It's got a Leslie Nielsen in it.
Very young Leslie Nielsen. Was he gray yet then? Or no?
He was not. He was not.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
It's a dark-haired Leslie Nielsen. Also, the film debut of Robbie the Robot.
Who had a storied career afterwards.
Really did. Really
Yeah.
did.
Won the
Appeared in a lot
Oscar
of
a
things.
couple years later.
Really?
Yeah.
What?
No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Oh, Jesus. that should have been a Would You Believe?
Yeah, Would You Believe, Robbie the Robot. I didn't know you were going to bring him up.
Yeah, I didn't either. But I did look this up. I was like, well, where's Robbie the Robot now? Certainly somebody's in possession of the Robbie suit. And it was sold at auction 6 years ago for $5.5 million, which has the record for the highest amount of money paid for like an old movie prop. And the buyer is unknown, and the current whereabouts of Robbie the Robot is unknown.
Do you think it's aliens?
Oh,
Like
it
they
could
just
be.
came to collect them? It was like they stole our technology and we want it back.
Right? Time to go back to the home world.
The stories that Robbie could tell.
Yeah.
He's seen stuff. He's been around.
Yeah, he's seen some shit.
He's seen it.
Yeah. Moving on to TV, the top 5 shows of March 1956. Number 1, the $64,000 question. Kind of primetime game show.
Yeah, absolutely.
sort of
Yeah,
deal,
yeah.
Right?
It's that show. There's still a version of that, right? Or no?
Is there?
I don't know.
Imagine how much money $64,000 sounded like in 1956.
It's a lot.
Right.
I bet that was probably like $100,000.
Sounds like a lot of money now.
Yeah, I'd take it.
You could still have a show called that and people would get excited.
Yes, they would.
Second highest rated show, I Love Lucy.
That's weird that that's second.
Yeah.
Because I Love Lucy was like at the top. Well, maybe, how long had that show been on then? I don't know.
That's a good question. 56, I mean, certainly not the first season. It was around for a while. Third highest rated show, Ed Sullivan Show.
Makes sense.
Very popular show. Fourth highest rated show, I had to look this up, a show called Disneyland, which you would know better as, Wonderful World of Disney.
Oh, okay.
Like that format, but it was just called Disneyland in 1956, where it would highlight a certain area of the park, like, oh, here's Tomorrowland, here's Frontierland, or whatever the hell. And this was the ratings period in which the Davy Crockett miniseries was serialized.
Okay.
So this would have been, if you know it, smack dab in the middle of the Davy Crockett craze.
Yeah.
Kids getting the coonskin caps and, run around with Bowie knives or something. I don't know. Like, well, what else did they do?
Well, chew tobacco. That was
Sure.
real popular for young kids back then. And then what else? And slingshots.
Sure.
And then racial slurs, but only about Native Americans.
Sure. And not a lot of people know this. Killed in a bar when he was only 3.
Wait, what? Would you believe?
Would you believe? And the number 5th highest rated show, The Jack Benny Show. Yeah,
There you go.
there you
Jack
go.
Benny's still up there.
Yeah.
Good old Jack.
Sure. And that's the Wayback Machine
That's
for
the
March
Wayback.
23rd, 1956.
All right. Well, you know what that means, Wade.
Uh-oh. Jesus Christ.
That means it's time for your favorite segment. Would you believe? All right. We got a few of them to get through, so be forewarned.
Okay.
All right. So, would you believe that David Johansen, you would know from the New York Dolls,
Sure.
the inspiration for the name of the character Buster Poindexter that he had years ago was actually inspired by Doug Poindexter, who was a session musician that played on this album. Would you believe?
I'm going to not believe that.
Yeah, you're right. I made that up. So,
Sounded too good to be true.
right. Okay. You're a royal watcher, right? You like all the royal stuff.
Yeah, can't get enough of it.
All right, so you'll be interested for this because would you believe that before being crowned the king of rock and roll, Elvis was referred to as the king of Western bop? Would you believe?
I'm going to say yes.
Yeah, that's true. In January of 56, he was billed as such on a bill with Johnny Cash and David Houston. So there you go. Doing good on these.
All right.
So Would you believe the reason that they put together the 12-song LP was because they wanted a plan in case the single Heartbreak Hotel was a flop? Would you believe?
I'm not going to believe that.
No, that's true. So Steve Scholes and the higher-ups at RCA weren't convinced that Elvis was a hit, and they kind of thought they'd made a mistake signing him. So they needed this just to, like, sell to, like, recoup their money, just in case. So there you go. Excellent. So would you believe that there was a 13th track to this album, and RCA wanted the album to be, like, a little over 30 minutes, actually, in order to, like, save money and make it, like, an acceptable length for shipping. And Elvis recorded a version of Flip, Flop, and Fly for the album, but the Colonel didn't want it on there because 13 is an unlucky number. Would you believe?
That sounds like some Colonel shit. So yes.
No, that is false. I made that up.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. All right. So would you believe that the sessions for the Elvis LP are the first recordings to feature DJ Fontana? Would you believe?
Yes, I would agree.
Yeah, it's true. Heartbreak Hotel was recorded during those sessions. But yeah, it was the first time. But it's kind of weird because he'd been playing with them for a while. And he'd been on several appearances, but he hadn't made any appearance on any recordings yet. So there you go. All right. We're powering through these. All right.
Okay.
So would you believe the cover of the album features Elvis's Martin D28, which replaced his Martin 0021, which was damaged in June of 55 when Elvis's pink Cadillac caught fire after a show in Texarkana. Would you believe?
I would believe that.
No, that's false. I made that up.
You're so weird.
Well, I gotta, like, make them plausible, you know?
Sure.
So,
all right.
Yeah. All right. And then, would you believe that Steve Scholes, the record executive that signed Elvis to RCA, left the business in the mid-1960s, moved to South America, and started one of the largest alpaca farms? Would you believe?
Yeah, at this point, I'll believe anything.
No, that's not true. He actually stayed in the business and then died of a heart attack in 1968. So,
oh, jeez.
Yeah, there you go. So that's it. I think we'll wrap up the Would You Believes. But you did okay. I mean, I think you're about 50-50.
I got 3 right and 4 wrong. So
okay, so not quite 50-50.
Definitely a failing grade.
Well, I think the one with the Martin guitar kind of threw you. And then I think after that, it all just crumbled underneath your feet.
Right.
Yeah, I understand. All right, so I think before we get out of here, a couple of things we need to talk about, which obviously if you ever want to get in touch with us, there's a couple of different ways. You can email us at suspiciousmindspodcast77@gmail.com, or you can use the Suspicious Minds hotline, which is 773-389-4276. You know, you can call and leave a message. You can text us there. Do whatever you want. That's a couple ways to do that. And then you've got a couple things with the socials as well, correct?
Yeah, check us out on Facebook at Suspicious Minds Podcast with Wade and Burl. You know, send us a direct message and see if we don't respond. We probably won't. Sure, we will. And you could also check us out on Instagram under Suspicious Minds Podcast. Going to be updating the site soon because, you know, me and Burl, I don't know if you knew, we're recording new episodes just like this one.
Wait, were we rolling on this? Oh man,
is this a dress rehearsal?
I would have done a lot better. I feel like I might have been low energy tonight. I don't know. I feel bad.
Just auto tune it.
Okay, we'll do.
Or could you apply AI to it? Would that work?
I may just have myself replaced with an AI version of me in the near future.
Yeah.
And then also YouTube. You can always check us out our show on YouTube. I think we always fail to mention that.
Oh, I forgot about that one. Oh.
yeah, but here's the thing. If you are currently listening to this on YouTube, then you can just totally disregard this. Another thing, I don't think we do it enough, we should give a shout out to our good friends Pat and Brad, who do the Elvis Book Club.
Of course.
They haven't had a new episode in a while, but I think we're going to get on them about that. And I think our plan is to try to have them on this show.
I would love that. That would be so much fun for me.
Okay. Well, I don't think it'd be any fun, but no, I'm just kidding. But, just a way to pad out an episode. No, I'm kidding. We would really enjoy it if those two were on the show. We get a kick out of both of them. We're just going to have to buy 2 more microphones. I think that's the thing. We got to shell out for that.
Yeah, well, I'll start saving.
Yeah, we'll put together a GoFundMe. Well, I think that's about it from us. Any parting words?
Don't look down on anyone unless you plan on lifting them up.
Okay, well, on that note, I've got to get us out of here then. All right.
It got too real.
Exactly. It got very real, and I just can't deal with that right now. I got a lot on my plate, Wade.
Sure.
All right, well, until next time, I have been Burl.
And I'm always Wade.
And we will see you next time.
Thank you. Good night.